Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Stamford Bridge was just about to get underway, but Stuart Atwell, for some reason, has just decided to wait a few more seconds. Maybe he's needing some permission from the TV director, but we are now underway here. Chelsea taking on Aston Villa, a real informer Chelsea side at this stage of the season. It's going to be a long afternoon, you feel, for Aston Villa, who really have dropped off, having had such a good start to the season. The last month or so really has been very difficult for Unai Emery's side, but if they're going to get out of that poor run of form, I suppose doing it at somewhere like Stamford Bridge is no better place to really snap out of it. But it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Will Maxwell taking to the action. Will, do we give Villa much of a chance this afternoon?
I think it'll be naive not to give them some form of chance. The quality that they have in this squad is more than enough to come away with at least a point from Stamford Bridge. But Chelsea, as you mentioned, are in such good form at the moment. They're looking so dangerous going forward that you just think they're going to get at least a couple of goals in this one. If Villa can either take the lead or if they go behind and then pull one back, then obviously momentum can begin to give them a chance, but they cannot afford to be wasteful in front of goal.
No, absolutely not. And straight away we saw there inside the first 30 seconds, Ezri Konsa just caught in possession. He was actually fouled by Nicholas Jackson. It wasn't much of a foul, but Villa insisting on playing the short ball out from the back from the resulting free kick. Dinia's ball up towards the halfway line, and under pressure there, Ollie Watkins gets brought down by Wesley Fofana. May well be that Fofana just wants to let Watkins know that he's there this afternoon, but straight away the Villa man just down on the ground. Just to remind you very quickly, Robert Sanchez in goal for Chelsea, a back four of Moises Caicedo, Wesley Fofana, Levi Colwill, Marc Cucurella, Romelu Lavia and Enzo Fernandez are the two holder midfielders, with Jadon Sancho, Cole Palmer and Pedro Neto as the attacking three, playing behind Nicholas Jackson. As for Villa, we'll do the Villa side of the second because they were on the attack here down the right-hand side, but Jadon Villagine just gets stopped in his tracks. They have Emi Martinez in goal, a back four of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres and Luca Digne. It's Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans as the two holder midfielders, with John McGinn, Morgan Rogers and Jadon Villagine as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Ollie Watkins. This is one of three games on our service this afternoon at the moment. Manchester United, Everton and Tottenham Fulham are the other two games. Of course, a small matter of Liverpool against Man City to come at 4 o'clock this afternoon as well. It's McGinn in possession now for Villa down the left-hand side, going back towards Pau Torres. Villa in their all-white away kit this afternoon. Chelsea all in blue, as you would expect. On the ball back now to Martinez, being closed down here by Jackson. You've got to admire Villa for being so comfortable on the ball, playing short balls in front of their own penalty area, but Chelsea looking like they want to press as high as they can. Yeah,
and it's a very risky move that Aston Villa are playing at the moment. When results aren't going your way like they are for Aston Villa, they've failed to win any of their last 7 in all competitions. It's good to see they've got confidence, but because they don't have the results going their way, you feel like you just need one mistake that can happen when you're playing it around the back like that, and suddenly your entire game plan just capitulates.
Absolutely, it's very important that Villa do keep it tight early on in this game. They're trying to get forward now down the right-hand side. Villagine got all the way to the corner flag, but combination of him and Rogers couldn't quite keep Villa in possession. It's out for a throw to Chelsea now down the left-hand side. Marc Cucurella ready to start. Of course, with Chelsea having such a huge squad, there was a time when Cucurella was the main man on that left-hand side, then he completely fell out of favour. Now he's sort of back in favour again. It's been a similar sort of situation with the goalkeepers. But of course, Chelsea do have that luxury of being able to rotate pretty much their entire squad if they want to.
Yeah, the depth that Chelsea have in their squad is frankly frightening. I mean, particularly going forward, they've got so many fantastic attacking options to choose from. Maybe in defence they're lacking a little bit. I mean, obviously they're arguably their best defender, Reece James, is consistently injured, but they're beginning to have some form of a regularity with the team, and that's helping the cohesion and the confidence that they're playing with. And Sanchez has done very well to make that number 1 shirt his own as well.
It's fascinating for me, Robert Sanchez. I mean, when he left Brighton, they were quite happy for him not to be on their bench anymore. He wasn't even the first choice at Brighton. He came to Chelsea as a sort of squad filler, and then a combination of injuries and transfers have meant that he has now pretty much become the Chelsea number 1. But here come the home side on the attack here with Jadon Sancho down the left-hand side, gets blocked at the edge of the area, going back towards Cole Palmer. It's now Cucurella over to Fernandez on the left-hand side. Villa back with their entire 11. Not much space there for Chelsea to manoeuvre in front of goal, so they go back towards the halfway line. It's now here with Fofana and Lavia over towards Sancho. Fernandez have got a bit further forward, but again, no options to try and get that ball into the penalty area. So Chelsea back again on the halfway line. So now with... looks like Fofana looking to try and... we thought about a long ball towards the edge of the area, but no options here. Down towards the right-hand side here for Pedro Neto, Again, another one who came into this Chelsea squad, so much talent already, but he is trying to get into that first team because we saw how good he could be when he was on form at Wolves. Now, that ball into the penalty area just flicks off Enzo Fernandez, and that should be an easy one, and it is an easy one for Emi Martinez.
Yeah, it's been a very scrappy start to this game. Almost 5 minutes in, we're yet to have a real shot on goal or shot in anger from either side. That ball from Enzo Fernandez was a nice idea, just couldn't get it out of his feet quickly enough and took a wicked deflection. It's quite a comfortable gather for Emi Martinez, who's got to be at his best today, otherwise they could have a field day in front of goal, Chelsea.
Well, I tell you what, I thought that Morgan Rogers was tripped there by Levi Colwill. The referee, Stuart Atwell, straight away says no foul. It seemed to me as though Cole was coming from the side of Morgan Rogers. Didn't look like he could have got the ball there, but the referee obviously deciding that it was a fair shoulder-to-shoulder fight, and it was just Rogers that came off second best. It's with Cucurella now, square to Fofana. Ball up towards Cole Palmer. Holding this one up. He needs to get into form as well. He was so excellent for Chelsea last season. I suppose he set such a high standard in his first season that even though he's not playing badly this season, he's just not at that high level so far.
No, he's not been able to hit the same heights. He's such a key, pivotal player for Chelsea this season. Well, in general, just in the squad, all the positive things that seem to be happening for Chelsea going forward and normally going through him this season in the Premier League. 7 goals, 5 assists. He's got the most goal contributions of any member of the Chelsea squad, but maybe a little bit more regularity and just getting on the ball a bit more, particularly in this game. He's been a little bit quiet.
Well, here comes a ball in from the right-hand side. It's a left-footed cross from Pedro Neto, headed away towards the edge of the area. Lavia now heads it back towards the edge of the box. There's a collision. There's no foul, says the referee. Chelsea attack carries on. Cucurella's ball into the 6-yard box. Takes a deflection off the post and it's into the back of the net. It's taken 6.5 minutes, but Chelsea have taken the lead. As Will mentioned, it has been a scrappy start, but despite that, Chelsea have got a little bit more fluidity to these first few minutes. That was a decent build-up, and it is in the back of the net. Villa might point to a foul at the edge of the box. Their man is still down, but for the time being, the goal stands.
Yeah, of course, it will be looked at by VAR, see if there is a foul in the build-up, but take nothing away from the finish from Jackson. It's really, really calm and assured. I'm not sure if there's an element of offside or not when the ball eventually works its way out towards Pedro Neto, but it's the first shot we've really had, and it was a really good finish. It was a really clean contact, which Martinez just could not react in time. And look at the replay, I think it's more Philogene just on the stretch trying to win the ball. I don't think Cucurella does anything wrong. Well,
I think that may well be what we'll see from this close-up here. It's a difficult one now. I'm not sure that VAR would say that's a clear and obvious error from the referee. That's the issue. I think it might be one of those where if the referee gives a free kick, we wouldn't be saying, oh, it's a terrible decision. But now that he's not given it, I'm not sure that VAR will bring it out. And as you say, it is actually a very smart finish there from Jackson, swiping at it with the left foot, flicking it off the post. And we're just waiting to see whether or not the ball has gone back to the centre circle, or we're still waiting for, well, Philogene is still down, whether or not this is part of the situation to try and create a bit more doubt. But we'll see from another reverse angle here. He takes a touch. Well, see, looking at that angle, it does look as though Cucurella just sort of collides with him, but then is Cucurella getting the ball? He is getting the ball as well, so I'm not sure that there might be a painful one for Philogene, but I'm not sure VAR will bring this one back.
I don't think it should be brought back either. It's a sore one for Philogene. Don't get me wrong. I think he sort of locks his knee in the collision, which is going to be incredibly sore for him. But Cucurella gets the contact on the ball first, and yes, there's a follow through, but there's not like there's any studs showing or anything. It's just maybe a little bit clumsy, but there's no clear foul that Cucurella has given there, and I think it's just a forceful tackle. And I think that's something that we want to sort of see in the games. We don't want that side to be taken away from football.
No, I think that's absolutely right, and the goal has been given. We are back underway here now. It's 8.5 minutes on the clock. Chelsea 1, Villa 0. We'll get a bit of injury time after that as well, because the goal was scored after 6.5 minutes. But of course, Philogene was being checked over. But from Villa's point of view, of course, it's the worst possible start because they've not really got into the game, and we're not even 10 minutes in, then they're already a goal down. Yes, and they've now got it all to do. Yeah, like you mentioned, not even 10 minutes in, they haven't had a shot yet. They've barely gone into the Chelsea half, despite having a good amount of possession. They just cannot deal with this high press of Chelsea, and they just cannot find the space past their defence as well. They've got the quality to get back into this, but they just need to be a little bit patient and be a bit smarter with the ball. They do, but I mean, they kicked off and they went straight back to the edge of their own box, and now that's allowed Chelsea to send 5 or 6 players further forward again. Villa just exchanging passes along their defensive line. It goes back to Emi Martinez. He's been closed down by Jackson. Martinez hurried into a ball out towards Digne. He's been closed down by Caicedo and by Pedro Neto. The ball is eventually cleared to the halfway line, but it's not really a pass to Ollie Watkins. He can't control that. It's now back with Wesley Fofana, and this is the problem for Villa now. Chelsea going to feel even more comfortable. after that early goal. And I mentioned, of course, how important Cole Palmer is. Jackson, of course, had a lot of critics last season, but he weathered a lot of that, and towards the end of the season he was getting better, and he started this season well as well.
Yeah, he has begun to silence the doubters that he had plenty of when he first joined Chelsea. He's turning into a bit of a smarter finisher. His runs are always dangerous, and he's being more clinical as well. It's taking him fewer and fewer chances to actually score as the ball through looks for Ollie Watkins just too far ahead of the Englishman, and that's going to be comfortably gathered by Robert Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez out towards the edge of his own area, but that's what Villa need to do, just something a little bit quicker. That wasn't a bad idea. Looking at that replay, actually, I think Watkins may have been able to control that on the run. He allowed it to get ahead of him. Tielemans was the player with the ball through, and Sanchez able to make the claim. And it's Lavia now. Been put under a bit of pressure there after that pass from Levi Colwood, but in fairness, Romeo Lavia does very well. Gets the ball away for Chelsea and finds Palmer in a bit of space, who tries a quick outside of the boot ball out towards Jackson at the edge of the area. That's good work, though, from combination of Pau Torres and Konza to get that ball away. And now Caicedo, very animated in his frustration there at Stuart Atwell. The decision goes Villa's way. We'll see from the replay. It's McGinn trying to turn. I'll tell you what, he might even get a bit of the ball there, I think, Caicedo.
I can understand his frustrations. It's one of those tackles that you need to get basically the entirety of the ball in order for play to continue, because you're coming from behind. Even if you get the slightest bit of man, it always seems like it will go the way of the opposition, and the foul is awarded. But Caicedo there, I don't think he's done too much wrong, and I can completely understand his frustrations.
Yeah, he's had a great start to the season for Chelsea. Most tackles and interceptions for the Blues this season, as Chelsea now win the ball back in midfield. Villa just cannot make it stick for the time being. It's back with Cole Palmer now rolling it towards Colwill. Correa across the defensive line. The next game for these two sides, of course, everyone's playing in midweek. Chelsea are away to Southampton on Wednesday, whereas Villa on the same day are playing at home to Brentford. But here come Chelsea now down the left hand. Oh, that's unfortunate. Fernandes tried to back heel it towards Jadon Sancho. Had just missed his teammate, but Villa again playing out from the back. That's a really hard pass there from Cash back to his own keeper, and pretty much on the goal line. Emi Martinez has to control that. I mean, there's admiring teams that play out from the back, and then there's almost sort of being... I'm shocked by how risky that was. But Villa, in the meantime, have got the ball away, and it's paid off for them, because now it's Digne bringing the ball forward. And then across to Philogene, who goes on the volley. That would have been a stunning strike. A really good technique there from Philogene, and Caicedo loses the ball. He wants a free kick, nothing doing. Tielemans breaks into the box. He's taking too long to take the shot. Hits the deck. Referee says no penalty, but finally a bit of action in front of the Chelsea goal. And I tell you what, it was nearly a fabulous strike from Philogene. We'll get Will's thoughts on that in a second, because here come Chelsea on the attack now with Pedro Neto. He gets to the edge of the area, but the Portuguese's strike is dragged wide, and it's out for a goal kick.
Well, that was really exciting over the last minute or so. The ball over from Tielemans to Philogene is not a bad effort, but I think he needs to be getting the shot away. I think he's looking for contact, which doesn't really come, and then immediately tries to go down to the floor. I don't think there was ever really a strong penalty shout there. It was just strong defending by Lavia as Fernandes tries to play the ball in towards Jackson.
Well, he does play it in towards Jackson. Jackson's then brought down. Well, what's happening here? I think Villa were very confident there was going to be an offside, so they sort of shoved Jackson off the ball even before the whistle had gone, but then they were backed up by the linesman, who does now confirm that it is an offside. Yeah, he was always offside. I think the Villa players knew that, so they were quite happy to just shove Jackson off the ball there. Pau Torres, and free kick to Villa now just inside their own penalty area. But that's attempted volley from Philogene. Really was a decent effort, and it looked like for the first time really in this game, Chelsea were at full stretch at the back, and credit to Villa, because I actually criticised them for playing out from the back and taking an unnecessary risk, but it was from that possession that they actually started the move in the first place.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, they invited the high press, which was so dangerous. I think it was about 7 Chelsea players really putting the press on the Villa defence, but eventually they worked their way out, and then they had that extra man on the counter. If the cross in it has a little bit more pace, it might find Watkins. Instead, it's a bit of a lofted ball over the top towards the far post. And Philogene, we know he's got a sweet strike on him. One of his goals for Hull City has been nominated for the Puskas Award, but his volley that time of asking, I think, was probably closer to the corner flag.
Yeah, it wasn't. Didn't quite make the right connection here, but Fernandes then finds Sancho down the left-hand side. He breaks into the box, just has his run checked there. Kamara and Cash now win the ball back for Villa, and it's Tielemans back to Kamara, runs straight into Colwill, but the loose ball is still recycled here by John McGinn, and he spots a run from Watkins down the left-hand side, who skips past Fofana. One-on-one from Ollie Watkins. Oh, it's a very tame effort from Villa's front man. he did so well to put the pressure. I mean, Fofana's got to do better there anyway, but once Watkins is there one-on-one, a right footer coming in from the left-hand side, he's got to score there.
Got to be doing better there. It's a lovely ball at the top by McGinn, and Watkins does really well to get there in front of Wes Fofana, who, like you mentioned, has got to be doing better there. It's not the greatest bit of defending there by the former Leicester man. One-on-one, he's got so much time to pick his spot. You think he's going to roll it into the back of the net. It's a really weak finish, though. It's not far enough in either corner, basically straight at the goalkeeper. Yes, it's a good save by the Chelsea shot stopper, but he should never be given the opportunity to make that save.
No, I thought that Watkins was going to try and go a bit more aerial, trying to lift it over the keeper, instead of which he's sort of looking to just sort of side-foot it past Robert Sanchez, but he was, as you said, it was pretty much at Robert Sanchez, so unless he dives out the way, it's not going to be any problem for him. Here come Chelsea now. They're going to make Villa pay for that. It's with Sancho down the left, back into Cucurella. Villa back with their entire 11 inside their own half. Chelsea just going back towards the halfway line here with Fofana, Cole and Cucurella now exchanging passes. I wonder, actually, looking at that Chelsea formation before, I thought it might look a little bit unusual with Caicedo being placed on the right from what we'd seen earlier, but it looks to me as though Chelsea are playing with a 3 at the back.
Yeah, I think there might be. I think they're allowing Cucurella to burst far further forward to offer support in the attack, and well, that is leaving Fofana and the rest of the Chelsea defence relatively bare. They're being caught out on a couple of occasions now over the last 5 minutes or so. Villa getting a bit more space and a little bit more joy, and you just think it might be a matter of time before they really start to turn up the cog on this.
16 minutes on the clock here on official independent off-tube studio commentary. It's Chelsea 1, Aston Villa. It is goalless in the other two Premier League games, Manchester United, Everton, and Spurs against Fulham. It's Matt Cash now on the right-hand side, rolling the ball back towards Emi Martinez. And Martinez not in any hurry this time. No one from Chelsea really getting too close to him. It's say strong benches for these two sides, as you would expect. Duran, Bailey, Barkley, amongst others on the bench for Villa, as well as Buendia. That's for Chelsea. Won't read the whole one, of course, but certainly Madueke, João Felix, Barishile is coming back to form. And we've heard some rumours in the last couple of weeks that potentially Nkunku might not be too happy with his limited role so far. But of course, if you're at a team like Chelsea, it's going to be very difficult to keep a long run in the team unless you're playing superbly well.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, the way that Chelsea squad is at the moment, they've got stars coming out of their ears, and I completely understand why Nkunku is frustrated. If a player of his quality really should be getting more game time, but it's whether or not he wants to remain patient, or if he starts taking his chances whenever he's taken to the field, eventually he might get back on to the field of play in the Premier League. But Jackson's doing so well up top for the Blues that it's going to be pretty difficult to usurp it.
Absolutely. Initially last season, everyone was waiting for Nkunku to get fit because Jackson couldn't score, and it's just a matter of time before Nkunku gets in the team and becomes that Chelsea frontman. Well, it just hasn't happened so far. But Villa now backing off here as Chelsea back in possession. It's just a moment ago, actually, we saw a very risky header back from Marc Cucurella. It needed a lot of work there from Fofana just to make sure the ball did get back towards Robert Sanchez. But apart from that, one attack from Villa, where they had the ball over on the left-hand side, the Philogene strike, and then the Watkins effort after Villa had won the ball back. They just haven't really been able to do too much more against Chelsea so far.
No, they've had a handful of chances, but they haven't been able to keep up the pressure and keep up the momentum. I mean, the finishing of Watkins with that glorious earlier opportunity was really, really poor. But they'll take some solace in the fact that they've probably had the clear opportunities than Chelsea, despite being behind. Chelsea have had that, obviously have scored one, and then apart from that, Neto's had an effort from the edge of the area that went quite comfortably wide, and Villa have probably had the two clear opportunities apart from that.
Absolutely. It's also worth pointing out that Villa's last game was a 0-0 draw against Juventus. I did that game, and they didn't play particularly, brilliantly, but at the same time there was a fair amount of organisation there from Emery's side, and let's say that it's not a bad team overnight here, Aston Villa. They did some fantastic things last season, and absolutely no reason to suggest that they can't get back to those heights again this season. I suppose it's always a good measure of a manager and his players as to how they respond from a poor run of form. Of course, it's exactly why there's so much focus on Man City right now, because we're very not used to seeing them losing so many games in a row. And of course, they've got a big test this afternoon away to Liverpool. But now we're seeing that chance again. I mean, with Fofana, he doesn't even get shoved off the ball. He just essentially Watkins just glides past him. But then what we didn't see that live, but what you see from the replay now, was that there were two players just waiting square to roll it in as well.
Yeah, he definitely had his support, but I mean, a striker of Watkins' quality and the belief that he's got in himself, I think it would have been very surprising to see him roll the ball over. Maybe it would have been the smarter play. In hindsight, it probably was the better play because, of course, he missed. But if you're a striker that backs your ability, and particularly in that position, of course you're going to go for goal.
Yeah, I think that's the other side of it as well. Emery wants his team to score in that position, but he also wants his number 9, in this case Watkins wearing number 11, but he's playing in that number 9 position to get as many goals as possible, get into some sort of form. As Villa do win it back now in midfield, it's with Tielemans in towards John McGinn. Fires the ball down the left-hand side here for Watkins. He's up against Fofana again. This time Wesley Fofana does a little bit better. Watkins is pointing to his boot like he was stamped on. I didn't think there was anything wrong with what Fofana did there at all. Caicedo now brings the ball out, plays it in towards Cole Palmer. And Palmer over towards Levi Colwood. Just slow and steady here from Chelsea. But they do have the early lead, of course, so it is going to be down to Aston Villa to try and force the home side's hand. It's now with Lavia in the centre circle. He's looking at Pedro Neto on the right-hand side. Pedro Neto's a bit frustrated. He didn't get the ball the first time. He's still standing there on that right wing, holding his arms aloft. But for the time being, Chelsea are just quite happy to keep a bit of slow possession here in midfield. Lavia now being closed down by Kamara. And it's Caicedo over towards Cucurella. As I say, Chelsea could do this all afternoon with Villa just backing off a little bit. Not going to send too many players further forward, but for the time being, that's at least 20 times now we've seen the pass exchange between 3 defenders on the halfway line. Yeah, they're in no rush to try and penetrate this Villa back line. Of course, they've got the lead. They can do this until, for the final 70 minutes and obviously come away with the victory. But Villa are just happy to sit back, keep their shape, rather than press high up the field, and that might be a little bit frustrating for their travelling fans. Well, here is Jadon Sancho now back towards Cucurella. They're slowly progressing into the Villa half. Now Lavia tries a foul. It's a fabulous ball to pick out Jadon Sancho. Initially, it got away from Philogene, but Cash was always there just to get the block in. And it's cleared. As it turns out now, Jadon Sancho was in an offside position. But I tell you what, after a very slow and steady possession, that's actually a really good ball from Lavia. And it's not far from... I would say that Sancho's borderline level there, really. It's really, really tight. So clearly the linesman on the far end was more confident than us, but it was a fantastic pass by Lavia, completely carving open the Villa back line, and that's got to be a bit of a wake-up call for them. That if they are going to sit back and try and keep a rigid shape, they've got to make sure that they keep their shape, because that was far too easy to completely take apart the defence and midfield with one pass. Sri Konza now under pressure just at the edge of his own area, and Cole Palmer gets the ball off Tielemans, and suddenly Chelsea on the attack. Palmer goes for goal. One-handed save there from Martin. Oh, that's a back pass, surely. That's got to be a back pass. The Pau Torres stops the ball at the edge of the 6-yard box, and Emi Martinez picks it up. I mean, the Villa players are going to argue they've got absolutely no leg to stand on here whatsoever. It's a real collector's item. I'm old enough to remember when these were a regular feature, when the poor old stoppers from back in the 80s and early 90s were suddenly told they can't pick the ball up from their own teammates. But these days it's very rare to see an indirect free kick given for that offence, but that clearly is a back pass. Oh, yeah, clearly. It's really, really poor communication and poor play by Pau Torres and Emi Martinez. Torres, I think, is wanting to take a touch and just clear the ball away, and Martinez just doesn't stop. The moment that Torres takes that touch, he's got to be backing away and allowing his defender to make the clearance. But because he continues his run, Torres can't actually swing his boot through the ball, and he stops, waits to see what Martinez is going to do, and the keeper picks it up. I think it's the Argentine that's more at fault there than the Spaniard. I think so. I think that Martinez might have been hoping he could just style it out, because we often see that when the ball takes a nick off a defender, the keeper can still pick it up, but it can't be deliberately laid off for the keeper. That was just a little bit too much, I think, and Stuart Atwell could not ignore that. Over the last few years, I've made a couple of comments about back passes which haven't been given, which probably should have done, but that one was just too glaring and an obvious one, really. And so now, this is interesting. I do wonder how often clubs these days actually do indirect free kicks in the box in training, because it's so rare that you get one now. Yeah, it's very hard to sort of prepare for every eventuality. I think this is definitely something that's likely going to fall by the wayside in training. But when you're this close, what sort of defending can you do? Just get every player behind the ball and hope that someone's brave enough to block it. Absolutely. I remember years ago Alan Shearer scoring a free kick, an indirect free kick for Newcastle. The ball got laid off to him and he just absolutely leathered it into the net, even though there was 8 or 9 players stood on the line, but they still couldn't get their bodies in the way. And we'll wait and see. I'm assuming this is what Chelsea are going to do here with Cole Palmer. We'll just see this free kick out, and then I'll hand over to Will for the remainder of this first half. But yeah, we're going to see what it's Fernandes, Pedro Neto, Sancho and Palmer all standing over it. Just a reminder, of course, you can't shoot directly from here, but you can just touch the ball on. And Villa have got 5, 6, 7, 8 players on the line as well as their goalkeeper. So they're going to do what they can to try and stifle this Chelsea. What's just going to be obviously a layoff and a smash towards goal. And we'll see who the chosen player is going to be. Looks like it's going to be Cole Palmer. They can't take too much of a run-up, of course, because as soon as that ball is touched, the Villa players are going to try and close it down. But it's Fernandes. Looks like he's going to lay it off here for Cole Palmer. Oh, the ball hasn't been touched yet. Martinez is wanting to get off his line. It's touched back to Palmer, who smashes it towards goal. It's charged down. Back with Lavia now, who goes for goal. And in fairness, that whole line of bodies from Aston Villa do their job. And it's headed away towards the edge. We're past the halfway point, coming up to 25 minutes gone. And it will be Will to take us through to half-time.
Thank you, Paul. Ball into the area. Looks for a man in blue. I think it was Fofana on the stretch. It goes just wide of the mark. Martinez gets up and celebrates in front of his fans. I'm assuming it was him that actually made the save rather than a block by Tielemans. I thought it might have been the latter. No, it's a really good save by Martinez. Makes himself big. And he gets 2 strong hands to it. Fantastic goalkeeper, makes up for his error.
He does. I mean, he closes that one down. He was trying to get off the line as soon as Chelsea were faking to try and take that free kick. But as you say, Martinez would have felt responsible for that because it was his fault that the free kick was given. And that second ball in is really good. It's one of those crosses that almost goes in as a shot. But Villa once again playing out from the back with just a short ball. Yeah,
Martinez is the man in possession here for Aston Villa. The ball finds McGinn. Now Watkins can bring it down. Little layoff towards Rodgers. Isn't the greatest of passes, but he will turn back and keep hold of possession to find Pau Torres. Opportunity now for the visitors to have a spell of possession and can try and bring the ball further forward. We'll go towards Matty Cash, who's held up well by Sancho. Now Cash again turning away from the former Manchester United man. Here's Philogene, held up by Cucurella. Good tackle by the Spaniard, then loses out to the youngster again. The sliding ball back towards his goalkeeper in Enzo Fernandez. Will find Sanchez and Lavia under pressure from Morgan Rodgers. Has to do something with it. Goes back towards Sanchez, who just puts his boot through it. Couldn't really take any opportunity there. And the ball almost loops over Neto. Digne will flick it high into the air rather than find a man in white. Poor touch by Jackson. He just about beats the Kamara to the ball. Fernandes then finds Neto. It's really scrappy, and that pass by Fernandes doesn't have the required accuracy. That'll go out to play for a throw-in for the visitors.
Yeah, out for a throw to Villa down their left-hand side. But the worry for Emery is that there really hasn't been a spell of longer than a minute or two where Villa have had sort of steady midfield control of the ball, and that's going to be a worry for them as we're getting towards the half-hour mark. They're still trying to play out from the back, but they just can't make it stick. Never mind in the final third, even in the second third they can't make it stick.
They can't make it stick at the moment, as Morgan Rodgers has just been upended by a Chelsea man. So it will be a free kick for the visitors, a chance to hit this ball further up the field. It is still goalless between Manchester United and Everton, and Tottenham Fulham in the other two early kickoffs in the Premier League, both available on our service, as will the 4 o'clock kickoff between Liverpool and Manchester City, as well as the 3 o'clock game in the Championship between Derby and Sheffield Wednesday. Possession now is John McGinn for Villa. 27.5 minutes gone. Goes all the way back towards Martinez. Now with Tielemans, held up well by Cole Palmer. Looks for support, eventually tries to play the ball through towards Philogene, but again quite comfortably intercepted by Marc Cucurella, who's having a really good game so far for Chelsea, the Spaniard. Will go towards Sancho, who in turn is held up by his opposite number 19 in Philogene. Off-tube studio pictures of just focusing on the last 7 results in all competitions for Villa. 3 draws, 4 losses, including home defeats to Crystal Palace, Club Brugge, Tottenham and Liverpool were all away. They've neither the greatest run on the road in particular.
No, they haven't. 3 of those games were goalless from Villa's point of view as well. So it really has been a significant drop-off from the standards that they set last season and at the very beginning of this season. And they're under pressure again now with Palmer going out towards Neto.
Yes, it's Palmer finding the former Wolves man Neto. Tries to drive down the right-hand side, held up by Digne. He lifts the ball into the area. It's dangerous. It's a really good gather, though, by Martinez. Goes quickly off his line. He clutches the small of his back, so I'm not sure if he's maybe taken a little bit of a hard landing. And he'll have to try and run that off, or if he got a knock whilst coming to claim it. Seeing a replay here. It's a really solid claim, and I think it's the landing more than anything there for the Argentine.
Yeah, you could tell he just hurt his back a little bit, but he's back on his feet now, Martinez, and hopefully everything's going to be okay with him. What's he done there? He's given it away, and that's such an unbelievable chance for Chelsea. How have they not scored that? Martinez has touched the ball half a yard in front of himself, gifted it to... I don't know how Jackson doesn't score. Credit to Martinez that he dived down and saved it, but that really should be 2-0 to Chelsea.
It should be, and then a really sloppy back pass by Cash goes straight out play for a corner kick. Architects of their own downfall there, Chelsea. Martinez tries to play in towards Conte. It's absolutely horrendous, straight at Jackson. But credit to the goalkeeper. After his error, he gets back so quickly, and Jackson just cannot get the touch close enough to him to get a shot away.
Well, I was going to criticise Jackson for his first touch being heavy, but of course he's never expecting the ball to reach him there as he's closing down the goalkeeper. Martinez is now just down on the ground. He might be trying to give himself a quick unofficial timeout here because he just needs to gather his thoughts.
Yes, he's had a few horror shows over the past few minutes as we watch on Unai Emery, who does not look best pleased, to say the least. Martinez just having a few words. It looks like they're going to have to get a little bit of treatment here for the goalkeeper. He's in a real spot of bother.
I still think that this is him trying to just give himself a little bit more time, unless maybe there's a little bit of contact there from Jackson on his hand as he's trying to stop that shot from Nicholas Jackson. It may well be that he's felt some pain there, but I'm being a little bit cynical. Knowing what Emi Martinez is like, I think that he just needs to give himself a minute or two just to try. You can see the horrified looks of the Villa fans behind that goal, thinking, what is our goalkeeper doing there?
Yes, and he's always been so reliable for them as well. Widely regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. It looks like it's the collision from the boots of Jackson on the hand of Martinez is what's caused some issue there. We'll have to wait and see if he is going to be okay to see off the rest of the game. Robin Olsen, of course, is the backup keeper for Villa on the bench, the former Roma man. So he might be just getting a few warm-ups in case he is required. But Martinez is definitely not looking 100% comfortable here.
No, he's not. He seems like he's happy to play on now, and so we are going to finally see this Chelsea corner. There's going to be a bit of injury time at the end of this first half. I'm thinking 4 or 5 minutes already, really, with the injury to Philogene just after Chelsea scored, and then the injury to Martinez we've just seen now. But Fernandes can finally take the corner.
So plenty of players to aim for in the middle for Enzo Fernandez. Not exactly the tallest team in the league are Chelsea. Looks like the referee's coming over to check if the ball is in the quadrant, and he has now replaced it to ensure it is okay. And now Fernandes can have another bite at the cherry of trying to whip this ball into the box. Just telling his side to calm down. I think it's been about 30 seconds, maybe closing on 45 since he actually put the ball down to try and take this corner. Eventually puts it in, and it's a real waste. Straight to the near post, comfortably cleared away by Cash. Yeah,
it's going into the near post at sort of chest height as well. It's not even close to being a difficult ball for defender or the key. They've never even got near the goalkeeper for Martinez to have to deal with it. But Chelsea have got to use that better. Villa are on the ropes now, and then Chelsea, based on how bad Villa are, Chelsea really should be trying to look to get a second goal before half-time as a ball is played down the left-hand side. I'm not sure Cash was forced to give away a corner there, but it's deflected off him around 30 yards down. It does go out for a corner.
Yes, it does go out for yet another corner kick. Another opportunity here for the Blues. Chance for their defenders to come forward. Colwill, Fofana will be the two main players to aim for in the middle. Cucurella is in there as well, as is Lavia, Neto and Jackson. In a bit of a train towards the far post. They try and go for a little bit of a training ground move. Fernandes whips the ball towards the back post. It's Martinez that goes down. It doesn't look like a foul is being awarded, but it looks like it's just taking a nick off a Chelsea man anyway, so it might be a goal kick there.
Looks like he is going to be given as a goal kick as this ball is coming in. You can see that Martinez, he's trying to claim that he might have been fouled there. That might be what Villa are hoping for. But in any case, it is going to be ball back for the visitors, and he's had an interesting afternoon here, Emi Martinez.
Yes, he needs to start composing himself a bit because he's been surprisingly liable so far in this contest as the ball over the top towards McGinn is flicked on looking for Watkins, who can't beat Fofana to it, and then Caicedo goes all the way back towards Sanchez. His ball back towards a man in blue is poor, going straight out for a throw-in for the visitors deep inside the Chelsea half. We do have our first goal, one of the other early games in the Premier League. Manchester United have taken the lead at home to Everton. Marcus Rashford is the man that has got on the score sheet there. Looks at things, they are looking relatively dominant in that contest, although they are matching Everton in terms of shots. Long throw in, that's a comfortable gather for Robert Sanchez. Really, no Villa player got anywhere near getting on the end of that, and Sanchez then immediately looks to set off Jackson with a fantastic ball from his hands. Suddenly a counter-attack opportunity. Jackson finds Sancho, has the overlap in Neto. Neto goes back towards Jackson on the edge of the area, held up by Philogene. Little drop of the shoulder, breaks into the area, needs a bit of support. His cross is blocked, falls back to Jackson, who's stumbling all over the shop, but still somehow finds Fernandez. Sancho now, he gets away from Kamara, stays on his feet, gets a shot away, but it goes quite comfortably wide of the right-hand post.
Well, Sancho's insisting that it must have been a corner kick for the ball to have gone off at such an acute angle. Stuart Atwell disagrees. We'll see if Sancho, he does well to skip past Kamara. Kamara very nearly gives away a penalty there. Very hard to tell from that angle because the ball was low down. We'll see from this angle here whether or not Sancho has any argument to say it should be a corner. In fact, we won't, because the TV director's gone straight back to the live pictures. Villa taking a short goal kick because there's always a chance there might be a possession turnover.
Well, there is always going to have that chance. The long ball looks for Watkins. He tries to get there in front of Fofana. Sanchez, really good goalkeeping just to header the ball away from danger. The long ball is causing some issues for Chelsea, but they are doing well to just about keep the villains at bay. As Fernandez picks it up from Lavia. Can you see Villa getting an equaliser?
As it stands now, before the break, I would be surprised because they've just, even the little glimmers of possession they had in the first 10-15 minutes, even after they conceded, they've now disappeared. It seems to be all Chelsea in slow, steady, comfortable possession inside the Villa half, and I think they need to get back into the change room just to try and have some new ideas to see how they can break that up.
Yeah, they might need to just get into half-time, regather their thoughts, regather their shape as Palmer tries to throw it in towards Fernandez. Fernandez on the edge of the area. It's a wonderful finish by the Chelsea number 8. It's found by Cole Palmer. It pops up so kindly for the Argentine midfielder, and with the outside of his right boot, he lashes it into the bottom left-hand corner. No chance for Emi Martinez. It is 2-0 to Chelsea.
2-0 to Chelsea. One Argentine beats another here as he drills that one low. It's a really good finish here from Enzo Fernandez. Another one who's had his critics over the last year or so for his form in a Chelsea shirt. Jackson trying to turn, he gets blocked. Lavia then can't get the ball, but it's a quick ball out from Caicedo. Then Fernandez finds Palmer. Palmer then finds Fernandez back again, and it's a lovely first touch here from Fernandez. He flicks the ball up, uses that bounce, and then just guides that ball past Emi Martinez. It's a very precise finish. It's a very good finish as well from Fernandez.
Yeah, really good finish. That looked like for a moment that his first touch was just taking it away from him, and it would have allowed Konsa to get in, but he gets there in front of the defender and is always curling away from Emi Martinez, who's really had a poor first half. Granted, there's not much he really could have done about that effort, but maybe if he wasn't carrying a little bit of a knock, he might have been able to get down quick enough.
Yes, it may well be that he was just a little bit too slow to react, but then it was a very quick swipe there from Fernandez, the way he hit that. And Unai Emery very rarely looks happy on the touchline. His side could be 4-0 up, but he'd still look a little bit worried and sort of deep in thought. But right now you can tell that he'll be raging inside, because whatever he told his Villa players to do, they're obviously just not been able to live up to that this afternoon. They're just being pressed into their own half. And we can see Villa 14th in the league for goals conceded. They're last in the league in terms of clean sheets and save ratio of 61%, making them 18th in the league, and that's just not right for an Unai Emery side.
Not at all, as the long ball forward looks for Ollie Watkins, doesn't find him on that time of asking. Sanchez that gets out of his feet to finds Sancho, brings the ball down well, pokes it back towards Fernandez. Oh, it's a poor ball by Fernandez. It will fall to Watkins. He tries to get a shot away, and he gets away from one. Tries to get on the rebound of getting it around Colwell and Fofana, but somehow it's the former Leicester man that gets a toe back to it, and to stop Watkins getting what looked to be a certain strike on goal.
Well, it looked like it was a certain strike on goal, but then the ball was cleared away. Now we've got a bit of an issue here, as looks like is that Lavia down here for Chelsea. Will give us a time to have another look at the replay of that last Villa effort. But of course, they need to do something here, get something out of nothing, get some sort of attack mind again, because it's just been very difficult for them in this first half. We'll see here as we're just going to see a replay of the challenge, where it's a bit of a tread there. It gets trodden down there, does Lavia, although I don't think there was that much intent from Morgan Rogers.
No, not at all. I don't think Rogers has really done too much wrong there. It's just an unfortunate collision more than anything. But now Villa will have this opportunity to restart things from the back as Torres finds Ezri Konsa. About 7 minutes remaining of the mandatory 45. Remains Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 0. This concert has a little drop of the shoulder. Tries to play it down the line. It's a poor ball, though, looking for Jaden Philogene. Goes straight out for a throw-in. Chance for Chelsea to clear their lines once more. Cucurella is the man that will take this on this near right-hand side. Goes back towards Levi Colwill. And now in support is Robert Sanchez, who shaped up to give it back to Colwill, but didn't like the angle being afforded to him as he goes short towards Caicedo. The high press now coming from Aston Villa, trying to cause the issue on the hosts. Fernandez back to Cucurella, then up and under, looking for a man in blue. Jackson does well to hold off Conte, but then doesn't bring the ball down. And Tielemans finds McGinn, who utilises his strength. He goes down looking for a free kick, nothing awarded. It was never really liking to go his way. Is Pedro Neto. In turn, will lay that back calmly towards Caicedo, and they're not really being troubled too much at the moment, Chelsea.
No, they're not. I mean, even there with Villa, we're just trying to summon up a little bit more of an attack, a bit more of a press. They're just not able to lay a glove on Chelsea at the moment, and it must be a worry for Emery because, as I say, Chelsea don't look to be in some sort of glittering form. They're just keeping the ball nice and steady in the middle of the park, but there's just no way for Villa to break it up at the moment.
No, not at all, as the short pass in towards Cucurella will now set off Enzo Fernandez on this left-hand side. He will find Jadon Sancho, trying to take on Cash, now in for Caicedo. Lovely ball in for Cole Palmer, edge of the area. He gets a shot away, uncharacteristically pulled that by the Englishman, doesn't catch it sweetly, and the Ender Martinez gets down low to make the save, and he's making a sign over to the substitute bench that he's not going to be able to continue.
There's a problem here for Emi Martinez. I mean, I don't know if he just say for the time being, Villa haven't responded. I mean, it may well be that Robin Olsen isn't ready to come on straight away. But that last effort from Palmer, I was expecting him to try and ping it into the top corner. He's gone for this really sort of measured effort low down, and it's made it that little bit easier for the goalkeeper, I think.
Yeah, very possibly, as a United go 2-0 up at home to Everton. Joshua Zirkzee getting the goal there for the hosts, as Tielemans now tries to drive forward and he gets away from Pedro Neto. Neto then comes back and makes the tackle. Really, really good play there by the former Wolves winger, and he's continued his run on the right-hand side. I think he wanted the ball being played, and eventually it was moved over to the opposite wing, and now Jadon Sancho takes on Manny Cash, drives into the area. Really good play by Sancho. Jackson holds it up, needs a bit of support, just runs into no man's land, and then Fernandez tackles back on Rodgers, and Luca Digne will just flick the ball forward to Ollie Watkins, who's really quite an isolated figure for Villa at the moment.
He is. He's hardly getting any service at all, Watkins. There may be a ball getting through to him now, but it's a good header from Fofana to cut it out. It's just been very difficult for Villa to make it stick in the final third, but Rodgers does find Philogene. They've got half a chance now. That's
a really poor ball by Philogene. He wanted to thread it early for Watkins, but the angle and the execution was completely wrong, and it's going to be cut out by Cucurella. And now here come Chelsea once again. It's Cole Palmer in possession on the far right-hand side, as Neto behind him. Instead, there's a few ball rolls before eventually going back towards Caicedo, just to focus on holding on to possession and not taking any unnecessary risks, as Cucurella turns away from Philogene, goes back towards Colwill, and Chelsea are going to be very, very patient here, assuming they'll look to try and hold on to the ball for the remainder of this first half. Just running through the options on the bench for the two sides. For Chelsea, they've got backup keeper of Jorgensen, and it's Tosan Adarabioyo, Benoit Badiashile, Malo Gusto, João Felix, Noni Madueke, Mikhailo Mudryk, Christopher Nkunku, and the youngster Renato Vega. And for Villa, it's Robin Olsen as the backup keeper, and Leon Bailey, Ross Barkley, Lamar Bogard, Emi Buendia, Diego Carlos, John Duran, Tyrone Mings, and Ian Matson that they can possibly bring on. So there's a good amount of depth for both sides here if the managers feel like there needs to be a little bit of freshen up.
Absolutely. I think that from Emery's point of view, he may be forced into a change here, whether or not it's going to be before half-time to change his keeper, or it's going to happen at the break. But here comes Chelsea again.
Here is Neto on the right-hand side, gets towards the byline, digs out across, but it's a little bit of a poor bit of execution there by the former Wolves man. Sancho wants to try and keep it in play, but it did go out of play first, so it will be a goal kick for the visitors, and they'll try and clear up once again. Seeing Robin Olsen is warming up on the sidelines, getting his stretches in. A rare appearance for the Swede. Yeah, it's always sad to see a player having to go off through injury. I mean, Martinez, even without that injury, just hadn't had the greatest of first halves. It's probably arguably his poorest performance in a Villa shirt.
Yes, I mean, there's been 3 or 4 really glaring individual errors, and his side now are just trying to get forward again, but it's not been a good afternoon for Martinez. And that obviously then drips down into the other players as well. As soon as your keeper is having a bad day, defenders start getting nervous about laying the ball back to him, and if Villa are going to have this very sort of slow playing out from the back, sort of measured style, then it's going to really affect their style of play.
Yes, exactly that. As after you've seen pictures focusing on Unai Emery, I don't think I've seen Emery get close to a smile in this first half. There's not been really a great deal that he's going to be happy with. They arguably should have a goal on the board with Watkins' fantastic chance that was comfortably saved by Sanchez. And apart from that, it's been relatively dismal from the visitors. Is Emery a manager under threat?
I think that would be too soon to say. I think when you consider how he turned things around at Villa in just around 2 years, from when he took over to where they are now, the fact that they're in the Champions League and they've had some amazing wins, including the win against Bayern Munich, of course, I think that it would be crazy for Villa to be thinking about changing him yet. However, if it gets to the end of December and Villa have had 1 win in their next, say, 4 or 5 games, and we know how busy December is. You sort of every team plays 5 or 6 games, and of course Villa have got Champions League commitments as well. Obviously, he's 1 more Champions League game. Then by the end of December, he could be under pressure, but I still think it would be a mistake to be considering it now.
Yeah, well, we've definitely seen crazier things. Of course, probably the most surprising managerial departure of Premier League history is Claudio Ranieri when he was sacked by Leicester less than a season after he miraculously won the title with the Foxes. So the owners of Premier League clubs can be a little bit fickle at times.
Well, they can, but in fairness, I mean, his assistant Shakespeare didn't last for very much longer after that, did he? I think it just seemed that there might have been a little bit of a toxic atmosphere after that quite incredible title win there for Leicester City. But of course, we're never privy to exactly how things are, behind the scenes. But you'd imagine that Emery and the board have got a very good relationship by now, and they'll be giving him time to improve everything.
Of course, 5 minutes have been shown as added on time at the end of this first half, of which we've played about 50 seconds of it. So Cucurella will make the throw towards Fernandes. He holds up Morgan Rogers, goes down looking for a free kick, nothing awarded. Philogene then puts it in towards Watkins. Opportunity, Watkins gets a shot away, saved well by Robert Sanchez, who got down low to his left-hand side. That's another opportunity that a more confident Watkins probably would have buried.
Well, he's had a couple of really good chances. He gets this ball. The angle's not great for a right footer shooting from the right-hand side. But again, it's like he's not got the confidence to really put his laces through it. He's trying to sort of stab it towards goal. And if he surprises Sanchez there at the near post, then he's got half a chance. But he's got to put more power in it, because that's not going to surprise Sanchez.
No, it's a poor effort in the end by Watkins, who I guess could be in danger of losing his starting spot in the Villa squad, considering how reliable John Duran has been coming off the bench this season for the Villains. As Fernandes cushions a pass back towards Romeo Lavia, and then we'll find Caicedo, a flicks pass with the outside of his right boot. We'll find Cole Palmer, who begins to maraud forward for the Blues. Here is Caicedo finding Lavia, little 1-2 with Fernandes. Happy to play the ball around and keep the opposition moving and on their toes. Here is a chance for Cucurella, who turns away from Philogene, but there's no urgency, and they really don't need to be urgent at this point. They can just be as calm and collected as they like.
They absolutely. Chelsea have done their hard work in this first half already. They want to see out these next 2.5 minutes of injury time without any further surprise, without any even glimmers of attacking play from Aston Villa. And so, I say that Cucurella is put under a bit of pressure there from Philogene. But yeah, it's been a very good half from Chelsea, just like it's been a very average half from Aston Villa.
Yes, it has been very, very average so far. The ball over the top is flicked away by Luca Digne. Goes out for a throw-in on that far right-hand side, which Neto looks like he is going to take, and eventually does. And it looks like the referee's unhappy. It's a foul throw. So it will be Villa that can restart things. A Premier League footballer should never be giving a foul throw, as Neto is protesting his innocence in a rather comical fashion. It will be Luca Digne now will retake things for Aston Villa as Digne finds Pau Torres at the back. 2 minutes to go of the minimum added on time in this contest. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 0, the current scoreline. And what has been a very poor half so far from the visitors, as Matty Cash is under pressure. That's a really poor ball that forces Martinez a bit further back than he would have liked, but he gets away from Jackson. Torres will thread the ball through. Palmer loses out, and then McGinn loses the ball to Lavia. Rogers tackled by Colwell, and this high press of Chelsea is just causing Aston Villa no ends of issues.
Well, it is. I mean, it is also because Villa don't really have a plan B. It's almost like they're insisting on playing out from the back. They've tried a couple of balls over the top, but because that midfield just hasn't been functioning for Villa in this game really so far, it does mean that Chelsea have just got the run of the entire pitch, and as I say, Emery's got to come up with something for Villa to be different, and so they can't come out in the second half in the same sort of frame of mind because they're obviously 2-0 down already.
Here is Colwell finding Fofana back towards the former Brighton man. He'll go towards Sancho, lays it in for Fernandes, who's got support behind him. Gives it to Jadon Sancho again. He'll try and take on Matty Cash. A little drop of the shoulder. Sancho, a little step over. Realised he didn't have the gap, so decides to turn away. Go back towards Enzo Fernandez. He utilises his strength well. Holds off Boubacar Kamara before finding Sancho once again. Sancho does well to hold off Philogene, then loses out, then wins it back. It's tenacious play by the former Manchester United man. Then Colwell comes flying in on Watkins, and then Fernandez is there. Really scrappy, but Chelsea getting the better of the ball, and then he's cynically fouled by Philogene, and that is going to be a free kick for Chelsea. But there is also a man down in Levi Colwell.
Yeah, we've got seconds left until the 5 minutes are up, but it looks like it might have to be extended a little bit longer. It's just a bit of a body check there from Watkins, which in many ways might be better news for Colwell, because you don't really want to get a leg or knee injury. But yeah, it's a nasty one, that, from Watkins. Arguably, he's got every right to go for the ball, but Colwell definitely felt that one. Yeah,
there's a shoulder barge into Colwell that sent him over, and I think Watkins tries to hurdle Colwell and accidentally lands on him.
I was going to say, do you think he's trodden on in their back accidentally in the midst of that? I think that's probably what has caused Colwell the issues, but that may be it, actually, looking at our referee. Thinking that maybe he might be calling time for this first half. It is half-time in the other two games. Manchester United leading against Everton by 2-0, and it is goalless between Spurs and Fulham.
As Cucurella picks up the ball, and that is going to be the half-time whistle blown. We're going into the break. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 0, and we'll see you in the second half.